Today's story is from the user Matgamora Alt3. I drive. This happened a long time ago, but sometimes I still feel as it was still going on. I don't remember the year exactly, but I think it was circa 2005. I went with my son Isaac to watch the newest Pirates of the Caribbean. It was a Sunday, and the movie ended quite late, around 11 p.m. We went to the parking lot, entered my car, and left the shopping mall. Keep in mind, I was still in my 20s and my son was around 5 or 6. On that weekend, my husband was staying a few days in Mexico due to a business trip, so we would be all alone. I'm a single child and my parents lived in another country, so I was the only one taking care of little Isaac at the moment. Isaac, being a small kid, and as much as he loved pirates, he still got a bit scared with the movie. Davy Jones and his ghoulish crew were unsettling even for adults. The special effects were extremely realistic for the time. It's even ironic, considering he would grow up to become a comic book artist specialized in horror. Anyways, the shopping mall with the movie theater was a bit away from our apartment, an hour-long drive. Not that I'd complain about it, I always loved night drives. When I turned on the car, Isaac said he felt something was wrong and kept looking out the windows. I figured he was scared of the movie, so I put on happy pop music and told him all was fine and that he could sleep in the bed right next to me because my husband was away. Everything was okay until about 15 minutes after we left. For some reason, I turned on the wrong street. To this day, I don't get why I did that. I knew the path home by heart. I had been living in this city for more than 10 years, and I drove that way every day because my workplace was near the shopping mall at the time. Yet, I entered the wrong street. The street I entered was dark, surrounded by high, decrepit, rusty buildings. I do not exactly recall every street I have or have not entered before in my life, but I instantly knew I'd never gone into that place before. It seemed unreal, like something out of a horror movie. Belo Horizonte can have some dark streets and corners, but this? It felt like Silent Hill or Gotham City. There was this oppressive, ruthless, brutal, violating atmosphere looming over me and my son as we drove through the street. I don't know why, but something in my guts was asking, telling, begging me to drive as fast as I could and leave this place. I continued driving, getting more and more nervous, my hands shaking as I held the steering wheel. I looked at the mirrors, no cars anywhere nearby, and my son also seemed scared, constantly checking out the windows. I checked again and again if the car was really locked as I continued. The street was so long it seemed to never end. To ease the tension, I tried turning on the radio, but it was only static. Something was very, very wrong. Finally, after long minutes, I saw a single soul walking on the street. A hooker, but a soul nonetheless. Usually I'd be afraid of robberies, but I needed to know how to get out of this place. We didn't have cell phones at the time, nor GPS. I lowered my window and asked her, "Hello? Excuse me, how can I get back on the main road?" I asked. I could hear my son trembling behind me. The atmosphere invaded the car and it was cold, and somehow I could feel the eeriness in the air. "Not far away, ma'am. Just keep driving. A couple of minutes, turn left, and you'll be back into the main street." she answered, visibly bored. I began driving away. After some 5 minutes, I was still in the same street. I began rationalizing. Maybe she was on drugs and gave me the wrong directions. Maybe she wanted me to pay to tell me how to get off the damn endless road. It was nearly midnight. Mommy, when will we get home? Isaac asked. He was still uneasy, but was clearly getting tired. You can sleep in the back seat if you want, honey, I told him. Isaac hugged his fluffy dinosaur and laid down. I kept on driving and driving and driving and driving. It was half an hour past midnight. How long have I been driving? How was this even happening? I couldn't escape this nightmarish street. I couldn't go back because it was one lane only. I wanted to cry. Then I saw her, the same prostitute. It didn't make sense how I was seeing her again. She was miles behind me. But I was getting tired and I didn't care. I slowed my car and once again lowered my window. Please, my son has classes early in the morning. I have work. I need to get home, I told her, almost panicked. She approached my car and poured over my lower window, almost as if she wanted to get into the car. She was clearly high, grinning unnervingly with those lost and focused eyes. I can give you a real fun if, you have a kid there. I don't do that. Her eyes widened. Her pupils occupied almost all of them. I just want to get home on the main road. I've been going for the street for at least 2 hours, I said, pleading to her with my voice and eyes. There's only one way in the street, ma'am. You should be in the main road in a couple of minutes. You told me this exact thing 1 fucking hour ago, I whispered harshly. I wanted to shout, but I didn't want to wake Isaac up. She merely distanced herself from the car and somehow completely disappeared in the darkness. I don't know why, but this freaked me out. And I started driving again, fast. 1:30 in the morning. Somehow the buildings were getting even darker, more run-down, disgusting, and macabre. Small creatures were running through piles of trash, piles at least 2 meters high. That's 6 feet, by the way. The street lamps were all flashing on and off. The few lights turned on in the constructions getting more and more rare. I was tired, but so creeped out that I doubted I'd be able to rest when I get home. This should not be possible. It was a nightmare. I kept trying to wake up, but I wouldn't. But then I saw a figure in the street. Finally, another living soul. I slowed down the engine and approached, lowered my window. He was poorly illuminated, but I could tell that he was shirtless, was very, very tall, and very, very skinny. He had the whitest, palest skin I've ever seen, whiter than an albino. I could not see more details, however, because he was shrouded in darkness. Hello? You need directions to get out of here? He asked. The man was the sweetest, freshest, most relaxing voice I'd ever hear in my life. Please, I need help getting home, I said. Don't worry, Anna. It's not very far. You'll find the exit to your right in 3 minutes and 40 seconds. I'll make sure you and your little Isaac get home safely, he said. His voice and gestures were truly heartwarming. As he was saying this, one of the lamps near him flashed, and I glimpsed his face. That sweet man, my savior, had his mouth covered in blood. His eyes were glowing yellow. as if he had no pupils. Sir, are you hurt? I can get you to the hospital, I said, worried sick. He laughed before answering. This? Oh, don't worry. It's just my midnight snack, he said, as he took a bite from a fresh crimson piece of meat. Mommy, is that lady fine? Isaac asked. I don't know when he woke up, but I looked at what he was pointing at. Laying on the feet of the kindest man I'd ever meet was the hooker I talked to before. She was completely covered in blood, and in gory detail I won't describe, because it was frankly disturbing and horrible. Don't worry, Isaac. She's completely fine. She just took a fall, but I'm helping her, the gentleman answered, as he took another bite of his probably exquisite dinner. Forgive my son for his indiscretion, master, I said, ashamed of that insolent brat's behavior. Don't worry, my dear. I will be waiting for you at home, my brother Peter said. The rest of the journey home was very fast after that. Before I knew, I'd parked the car in my garage. My sweet brother Peter was already waiting at home and helped me carry my son to his bed. I know this story does not have some terrifying ending or climax, but those long hours driving on loops in the dark, strange streets were truly terrifying. The end. This has been Gray Stories. I hope you liked them. Good night.